In this video, traders, we're going to look at which markets got a major boost from the latest news on an effective vaccination for coronavirus. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. All right, so market's going crazy today. At about just before 1 o'clock my time, there was news released that there was a vaccination that passed phase 3 trials, or almost come to the end of phase 3 trials. And the number that was kind of in the headline was it was 90% effective. And I think this took the market by surprise. I think the market went, oh, wow, that's pretty significant if that's true. And I'm not going to get into the kind of an argument of whether that's true or not and whether we're kind of chasing headlines here. But the feeling is that the market looked at that number and went, wow, if that's the case, things can be back to where they were. That's just what I think the market's opinion of it. Now, is that my opinion? My opinion's slightly different. I'm not entirely sure. I think the vaccine was the silver bullet. I think there's more to it than that. But forget about that. We're looking at price and what the market is watching. Doesn't care what I think. Doesn't care what you think. Doesn't matter what you think. Or doesn't matter what I think. So the market doesn't care. What matters is what the market's reacting to. And it's very obvious from this response to that headline, the market is very sensitive to the news of a vaccination and the efficacy of a vaccination. So that came out. The number was higher than they all expected. Even some of the experts were saying, well, that's superbly high, it's amazing. And the market has gone super bid and super risk on. The European bourses were up significantly. DAX up 5%, around 5%. We had the CAC up around 5%. FTSE doing the same. Anyway, GJ was ripping. USD JPY was ripping. All the things you expected. Gold was tanking. Oil was rallying. Usual risk on, risk off scenario, guys. No surprise here. But what is interesting is, and again, let's look at how the market reacts to things. And this is more a video of not necessarily what's happening now, but more a video of let's just remember how things respond and how we can dial into what the market is looking at. Like I say, you may not believe that the headline that's come out of the vaccine, you might not think it's that effective. You might not think it's the silver bullet. You might think it's excellent. It doesn't matter. The point is, what does the market look at? What is the market watching? And what is the market? How is the market's response to that? That is the key. And so you then know what all the traders with the big money are thinking and watching, so you can be then prepared for that headline. Now, at the moment in time, guys, it's all about coronavirus. Of course, that's the environment we're in. A lot of companies are struggling. A lot of companies are booming. You know the score. We've had spells of time where it's been all about the gold price. It's been all about yen price. It's all been about the oil price. It's been about the dollar. It's been about bonds. It's been about news coming out from the war against terror. There's been so many things, guys, and it's constant. The market's always focused on something, and your job is to look to see what the market's focused on, whether you're trading currencies or when trading stocks. Right. So, quick look at what's been benefited now. Ironically, this watch list I have here is called lockdown shorts, because it was some of the stocks that I was shorting very early on after we had a dip up. And most of the time, as I kind of shared, one of those of you on there will know this, we kind of talked a bit about, especially on the stocks call, not necessarily the stocks call, how we had that big rally off the low, and it was nice to get on some of those tech movers. And then we had that consolidation. We were mixing up a little bit with a few shorts and a few longs. I never really went fully net short, but I was kind of had a bit of a mixture portfolio, but a few short and a few long. And these were kind of on my list. These are some of the ones that I was getting involved in. Now, these are the ones that are absolutely ripping now, because these are the ones that have been battered the most by coronavirus news. Obviously, cruise liners, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, absolutely hammered, just rallying hard today. But again, look at it in context, guys. The context of this is we're still pretty much where we were in the middle of March. So it's not over yet. So this is the beauty of this. If you like to trade these specific stocks, you now have a beautiful opportunity to put forward and put some money on your thesis. So if you think, hey, I think they've overcooked the efficacy of this vaccine, I don't think it's going to be that effective, I think that actually we may still be in this situation years down the line, then you've got a beautiful opportunity to jump on the short side. Again, price action rules all, though. Don't let your mind rule this. If that's your thesis, then you wait until you see some form of signal in price before you pull the trigger and, of course, manage your risk. However, if you think the headline is, yeah, that's spot on. In fact, let me know in the comment section below, guys. What is your thought on this? Do you think, hey, that's all over by spring, done and dusted? Or do you think this is going to linger on for a long period of time? My personal opinion is, I think this coronavirus was about to burn itself out anyway. I think, and again, I'm not a scientist, I've got no deep knowledge of this, but I felt that actually we have come through it. I didn't feel like we were still going to be in the same situation we are now next year, regardless of any medical intervention or any breakthroughs there. That was my thought on it, and that was how I kind of expected the market to behave. But this has changed the scenario a little bit. This has convinced people that perhaps that is the case. Vaccine or no vaccine, it's convinced a lot more people, well, at least today, who knows what happens tomorrow, that, hey, some of these companies are going to be back to where they were. Now, how that landscape looks, nobody knows. But again, people are speculating. It's day one of some reasonably positive news from that perspective. So you've got these cruise liners. Obviously, guys, the cinemas, Cineworld on the LSE, and we've had all cinema companies in US as well. I think they're in some of the biggest gainers actually. AMC, huge gainer. But if you look at the move, guys, I mean, it's horrible. Sitting there at $4 when it used to be at 22, awful. But again, this is creating opportunity. Things, Trainline, WH Smiths. I don't need to go through them all. You can see there's a lot of the UK stocks here, by the way, guys, because it's just kind of some of the ones that I was focused on. I remember I was focusing quite a bit on Stagecoach, and I'm not sure if I took that off my list. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, that was an awful kind of... I remember having a nice short trade on that at one point. I think I did a video covering that. It wasn't a home run, but it was a good short trade. Nevertheless, they've popped back up to 50p. Seems a lot percentage-wise. But again, look where we are. We're only back where you were kind of mid-August. But these are one to watch. These are things to watch and things to see and things to at least have on your watch list if you like these kind of things. Now, the other thing is to look at where all the money's flown from to. So that's where the money's flown to, but where's it flown from? Well, if you look at things like Peloton, money came off that. That's down 17%. That was down way more this morning. I was trading that on an intraday basis earlier today. You've got companies like Zoom. You're going to have companies like Upwork, although those recovered quite well today. Pfizer. Anything that was benefiting. I did a kind of video when I talked a little bit about some of the things that would perhaps benefit from the virus and would benefit from work from home. As my work from home stock list, and you can see how battered that is. Doku battered, Fiverr battered, Netflix, Disney slightly different because of the parks, obviously. Google, but you get the point. So you can see where the money's flowing from to now. Okay, so regardless of how you think, what you think of where we're going to be in 6 months or 1 year's time, what we have got a massive insight into now is to how people are positioned. We know which stocks fall into the category of they feel they're going to do better in a virus-based environment or when the virus is more prolific, and we know stocks that are going to do better when the virus is not so prolific. So we have that. We already had a good idea of that, but we know for sure how others are positioned with money, how the big money is moving, and you get some interesting things like some tech stocks I didn't think would be down too much. I thought it'd be okay, like Microsoft. Microsoft. Still struggling. It shows you that it had a bit of a premium, a work from home type premium on it. And so now we can watch and we can say, okay, well, is the work from home theme going to continue? Because that's just a lifestyle decision, in which case some of these might get a little bit again. Are we going to go back to the work type environment? In which case, you get the idea. All these theses you can come through your mind, you can think about, you can digest. But the key, guys, this video, I'm kind of wanted to kind of get to really is to say, these are the times when we get to see a little bit under the bonnet of the inner workings of what price is telling us. We get to see which markets are, and some of them are obvious, but some of them aren't so obvious. And it's our job now to go through and say, right, well, that took an immediate hammering on the news that we'd have a vaccine. And a good example I'm going to share with you guys is Peloton. Peloton, a good example of a massive hammering on day one, down 25%, huge kind of movement. And if this now creeps back up after supposed negative news, it's just an example stock, guys. If this, and it could be any market, by the way, If this now creeps back up after we've seen supposed negative news for the stock, then you get an even deeper insight into the strength or weakness of the stock or market. Because if you say, right, now I draw a line in the sand and I say, hey, negative news for the stock supposedly, then the market should drift low. If it takes it back and starts to push back up, it's basically saying, you know what, buyers are still interested in this. And again, this could be a currency pair, could be gold, could be anything. Buyers are still interested despite negative news or positive news is flipped on its head. So it's always worth watching, and these kind of things get me excited. I like to see how the market responds to these things. Yes, there's trading opportunities. Yes, I love to trade the volatility. Of course I do. But it's also great from a perspective. You start to note down and jot down all the things that are moving. Oh, I'm surprised that moved that way. Okay, well, that goes in my list for if we do this again, or if we go to new highs, or if we start to retrace off the highs and we cycle lower, or if we get some news based on this, I'll go to that. And I already have my plan detailed out. Anyway, guys, that's what's happened today. Let me know your thoughts on that. What do you think about the vaccine? What do you think about where we're going to be? Where do you think the markets are going to be? What do you think the economy is going to look like next year? Take care. Bye-bye.